first saw that actually can tell the difference between your skin and a piece of wood. And we do this with our brake cartridge, and the brake cartridge is mounted down below the surface of the table, underneath the saw blade. What it does, it plugs into a connector right here, and the microprocessor puts a small electrical charge into the blade through the arbor, and it kind of monitors that. It's about 3 volts of electricity. That's about it. So your body has a natural ability to absorb electricity. That's it. It's the conductivity from your body.
It's wired to the switch?
Well, it's
on the
not,
operation?
no, it's not that. It's this putting the charge into the blade, and then your body drawing some of that current off. When you draw some of that current off by coming in contact with the blade, it detects that drop in voltage. And when it detects the drop in voltage, it activates the safety feature. The brake cartridge goes from this to this. And what happens is there's a fuse wire underneath here that is burnt through, and the spring is released, the block of aluminum is pushed up and right into the blade. Digs right into it. Doesn't, clamp onto it, digs right into that. In addition, where the blade is mounted on the arbor, is on a quick pivoting mechanism that takes the momentum of the blade and actually drops it down below the surface of the table. All of that in that same 5,000ths of a second. So we're going to show you how that works today. As you can see that, did you get a chance to see that? It's just, that's how it activates. So something people were asking me is the blade still good? If you watch this line right here, you can see on that light line, and I'll leave it alone. You see it moving like that? That's distorting the blade. So the steel plate is being compromised a little bit. You're going to get a wobbly cut. So we recommend just replace your blade and your cartridge. $69 for the cartridge and whatever the cost is for your blade. So additionally, I'm going to show you a couple of things about dust collection that we do and riving knife that we have. Let me get the dust collection back up here so you can see how it works.
They're gonna start making a portable one?
Yes, matter of fact, we're going to make a portable job site saw that you can pick up and actually put in the back of your truck.
I'm worried that it would activate unintentionally.
I'll talk to you about that. It's all works on conductivity. So let me.
Like wet lumber or something.
Wet lumber is conductive, so I'm going to show you how we can deal with wet lumber or any conductive material. What I wanted to show you about our dust guard is typically a lot of people get these out of the way. They hate them. They get static electricity on them. The dust sticks on them. You can't see. What we've done is re-engineered our dust guard to actually take the turbulent air generated from the saw blade and change it to more of a spinning vortex of air that moves through and out the back. So it's shooting the dust out the back. So when you're cutting a piece of plywood or lumber and you get all that coming in your face, that's going out the other way now. So with this hose that we have, this option right here, that with the dust pulling away, this has less need to pull because it's already being assisted. And it just goes right down to the port down below. So in addition, we have a shroud underneath the saw blade that directs the dust right into the port. So those two things, in conjunction, will collect about 99% of the dust generated off this saw. You're going to get like that, instead of what we're used to. So
Yeah, the first thing guys like us do is take all that safety shit off when we buy
a lot of us do. I had my Unisaw and I took it off because I didn't want it, because it didn't work. And now it works for what you're doing. When you have to get in close, you need to get this off, right? So you got a quick release here, and you get this thing off and on, it's that easy. So instead of having to go get tools and take it on and off, we encourage you to use a little bit more than you used to. Did you see where I put the riving? Oh, here it is. The riving knife. There it is. Riving knife, for anybody who's not familiar with it, helps keep that kerf open after you get beyond the blade. And that reduces the chance of kickback. Right? Kickback is another big injury factor. I mean, more of us are probably get hurt with kickback than anything else. So, dust collection, kickback, and now we're going to show you about the safety feature, saving your fingers. Now, again, we were talking about conductivity. It works on conductivity, so any conductive material will set the safety feature off. So if you need to cut something conductive, there's a feature on the saw where you can actually bypass the safety and then becomes just a regular table saw. So you have a choice. If you need to cut conductive material, you can do it on this saw. It's a 2, 3, maybe 30-second process to actually do that, to bypass it. And if you're cutting material that you're not sure of, that you've never cut, then you can test that material before you get into it and waste a brake cartridge and a blade.
What about like in an electrical store?
It works on conductivity,
So that's
so you have to come in contact with the blade.
So
So
it wouldn't have.
anything that's going out there, no.
Electric?
If you're out in the rain and it gets wet, yeah, it'll probably shut it off because water's conductive. But nothing in the atmosphere, nothing else, it's all about you absorbing that charge from the blade. That's what the whole thing is built on. So when you first power up the saw, you just move too early. I wanted to show you something. There's a couple of lights right here, a red and green light. The red light is actually checking to make sure the cartridge is working correctly. If for any reason it's not working correctly, you'll never get a solid green light. That means that your cartridge is working correctly when you turn your saw on. Because people have asked me, what if it's defective? You know, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna cut my finger off? No, because the saw is gonna have to check to make sure it's working first. Now, for example, if something was wrong with it, you'd have that still blinking green, red light there. Like, if I accidentally, somebody put their finger on it, you can't turn the saw on. It's not gonna let you. So it's always watching out for you. Okay, so that always can happen. Now, we're talking about conductive material. If you need to cut something conductive, or you're not sure of that material, this is how easy it is to set it in bypass. You got a solid green light, 1001, 1002, turn it on, 1001, 1002. Now you got a blinking green light. That means you can cut anything on the saw now. It's just a matter of now we've cut the safety feature off. If you run the material through there and it's conductive, you'll get a red light. You get a reading that says this is conductive. If you need to cut it, you need to cut it now with the safety feature off. If it's not conductive, it'll continue to be green. If it's green, you want to shut the paddle off. Shut the paddle off, it defaults right back into safety. Takes you right back to a solid green light. So you don't have to worry about setting it back into safety. Once you've checked the material and your saw has told you what it is, either non-conductive or conductive, there it is right there. Now, we don't give you a moisture content reading, we don't give you a list of approved materials to cut. We want you to try it on your saw right before you do it. So let's say you had a material you've never used before, I don't know if it's conductive, put it in bypass or test mode, check it, run a couple of cuts through there. Don't just put it up against the blade. Run a couple of cuts and see. Like if you picked up a 2x4 that felt completely dry, but is a little heavier than normal, think it might be wet, do a couple of sample cuts. Let your saw tell you. So that's how we can do that test.
I bet you I got some lumber with me that's treated. You wanna try one?
If you got one, we'll do it.
I'll get one.
Go get one. So while he's going and getting his conductive material, anybody have any questions about how it works? Did everybody get a full, does anybody know anybody that's had an injury on table saw? Yeah.